Is there any physical evidence on the seabed? Yes, there is. And we have some examples.
It's the big toe bone, the very last big toe bone.
Yeah, they call them fact checkers.
Yeah, fact checkers, yeah.
Fact checking is the opposite of fact checking.
The arbiters of lies are the fact checkers.
Wow. So if these are indeed caused from like ripples like you see on the beach from catastrophic flooding, this is a force of water that is truly, it goes beyond the mind's comprehension.
In today's video, we will address various events from the Quran and the Bible whose traces have truly been found. Among them are Sodom and Gomorrah, Moses and the Red Sea, as well as Noah and the Ark. We will also take a closer look at the topic of giants. Let's get started directly with the story of Sodom and Gomorrah. The story of the cities Sodom and Gomorrah, known for their morally questionable actions and homosexuality, can be found in both the Bible and the Quran. According to the book of Genesis, chapter 19, two angels visited Lot in Sodom to announce the destruction of the city. The inhabitants of Sodom displayed hostile behavior towards these angels and tried to approach them. The Quran tells the story in a similar manner. Ultimately, after multiple warnings, the city was struck by a rain of sulfur and fire. The cities that are now associated with Sodom and Gomorrah are located in present-day Jordan. Bab Dra is believed to be the site of Sodom, while Gomorrah is the modern-day Numera. This catastrophe, and particularly the sulfur that was sent down, have indeed been found in a region that was previously below sea level of the Dead Sea. Sulfur balls have been discovered that point to the biblical account of a burning sulfur rain. It was also observed that an area of 500 square kilometers was devastated all at once. The heat was so intense that many bones found were deformed by the heat, suggesting that this is indeed the location of the cities.
Describing this burning sulfur that is coming down like rain out of the sky. And then in this area, we have this geological phenomenon of these sulfur balls that are preserved in a geological layer. I mean, things just always end up being more obvious than mysterious. So when you have something described in the Bible and you go to that place and you look it over, you look at the excavation work that's been done, there's always not just a fit, but an obvious fit.
The next story we will look at is that of Moses and the splitting of the Red Sea. The division of the Red Sea by Moses is one of the most well-known stories of the Abrahamic religions. After the Israelites managed to get the Pharaoh to release them, he pursued them again. When the Israelites stood before the Red Sea and saw no way out, God spoke to Moses and told him to strike the water with his staff, upon which the sea parted. Once they crossed the sea, God allowed the water to return, drowning the Pharaoh and his army. The location where this occurred has now also been found. What could definitely be established are bones of humans and horses, wheels from chariots, and formations likely associated with coral-covered chariots. The Pharaoh who ruled at that time and pursued Moses was also found.
Is there any physical evidence on the seabed? Yes, there is. And we have some examples. Skeletons of humans, skeleton parts of horses and bulls, chariot wheels, and strange structures, possibly axles, wagons, and parts of chariots. And all these finds are spread out on a large area on the coasts of Saudi Arabia and Egypt.
The Quran and the Bible state that the Pharaoh was drowned in the sea. The Quran differs slightly from the Bible and contains a very interesting statement. This day shall we save you in your body, that you may be a sig to those who come after you. But indeed, many among mankind are neglectful of our signs. Ramses II. He was discovered about 1,400 years after this prophecy in the year 1881. The body was found among a group of royal mummies that had been hidden due to theft long ago. At the end of the video, we will also discuss misinformation regarding all these Quranic discoveries. The Quran, like the Christian scriptures, confirms that this religion is nothing new, but rather a confirmation of what has come before. Let's move on to the last story, that of Noah and the Great Flood. A few key points about the Prophet Noah. Both Christian and Islamic texts report that Noah lived for 950 years. Noah was commanded by God to build a ship, which according to Christian accounts took 150 years. The ark, according to the biblical narrative, landed on Mount Ararat after the catastrophe. On June 28, 187, the Turkish government officially recognized that the ark had been found. It has already been visited by several archaeologists who conducted measurements with various devices and found structures beneath the stone. A flood, as described, would naturally leave traces. In the Sahara, there are even signs that might indicate something like this. When there are strong floods, for example on a beach, these patterns often emerge. One can often see this ripple effect. This phenomenon can be seen on satellite images, just in XXL. The ripples visible in this image have distances of 1 kilometer and heights of up to 60 meters. This indicates a flood that had catastrophic consequences.
I've measured these more than 3,000 feet to 6,600 feet in between each ripple and more than 200 feet high.
Wow.
So if these are indeed caused from like ripples like you see on the beach from catastrophic flooding, this is a force of water that is truly, it goes beyond the mind's comprehension. It's something that I don't think we could even understand. But if you pan out, people have to understand that this is a couple hundred miles from one side to the other.
Yeah.
And so this would have been a force of floodwater that I think goes beyond anything we could have thought possible. I think this is why scientists have somehow missed it.
Archaeologists who conducted digs were able to extract petrified wooden parts of the ark from the mountain. They also showed 3D images that demonstrated it was a massive ship. Additionally, near the ship, a grave was found that was attributed only to Noah and his wife. There, bones of hands and feet were found, indicating humans approximately 5.5 thousand minutes tall.
It's the big toe bone, the very last big toe bone on a foot. That x-rayed it.
Okay.
It's been x-rayed, and this person had broke their toe bone, and then it healed up. This is from an 18-foot person. It's just 3 bones
It's just 3 bones.
of the left finger,
this, and
left
this.
hand. Little.
In our time, it is claimed that we descended from monkeys and slowly evolved from ape-like beings to humans. However, various evidence suggests that we have degenerated from generation to generation. The main cause of this is believed to be the declining oxygen levels in the atmosphere. The high oxygen levels are said to have contributed to larger, longer living, and more intelligent humans as their brains had more oxygen available. Of course, one cannot give a person pure oxygen and expect them to suddenly become Einstein. It is likely that our brains have degenerated over several generations. The performance has decreased from generation to generation. This is also reflected in many older buildings. It seems that the further back you go, the more incredible the structures become. Often it appears that these people could think much deeper than we can today. Many skeletons of giants have been found that were later discredited in various newspapers, even though they were found 100%. In Nevada, giant skeletons were discovered that are up to 3 minutes tall. This find from 1911 is known as the Giants of Lovelock, originating from a cave near the town of Lovelock. Another find of giant skeletons occurred in the late 1950s when petrified bones were found during road construction in Turkey, which indicate humans nearly 4.30 meters tall. This is supported by thigh bones measuring 1.2 thousand minutes long. There are also structures associated with giants, such as Baalbek in Lebanon. Baalbek is known for its enormous stone blocks, including the so-called stone of the pregnant woman, which weighs about 1,000 to 1,200 tons. For comparison, the heaviest transport in our time is about 700 tons. This means that to this day, no heavier transport has ever been conducted. The Khitan stones, which are part of the Jupiter Temple, are each 19 meters long, 4.3 minutes high, and 3.6 minutes wide, weighing between 800 and 1,200 tons. Baalbek was supposedly built around 1500s BC, but this can never be precisely determined. One theory about its construction is that it was built by giants. We have seen that giant skeletons have been found multiple times. The Smithsonian was even accused of destroying some, but of course, that is said to be a conspiracy theory. Now let's take a look at a Wikipedia entry that states that many such discoveries have been reported, but all have been debunked. Naturally, one does not want such news to become official, which is why lies are spread. The way history is rewritten today is through Wikipedia. To sow doubt in most people's minds, even a small mainstream article that debunks the whole matter is sufficient. For the majority of people, it is wrong if Wikipedia states that it is wrong. A second way misinformation is often spread is through fact checks, which are always financed by the same news organizations. It is as if you give a thief his indictment and tell him to check whether the witnesses have told the truth about him. What is often done is to spread the same news but with false information. Here we see, for example, the alleged find of Ramses II. First, Ramses was not found in the Suez Canal as claimed here. Also, the mummy that was found looks different. This is simply to ensure that someone passes this message along. Someone who receives this message may then coincidentally check and see that the information is false. And suddenly, the topic is discredited for someone who may have been genuinely interested. The problem with misinformation is that in the end, one often no longer knows what the misinformation is and what is correct.
Can I ask you a question?
Sure.
Do you believe the mass media is controlled?
Of course.
You actually do
Yeah.
believe that?
Yes.
So you believe that whatever's being pumped out in the media is being orchestrated and controlled?
Of course.
Like across all of it?
Across all of it.
Okay, good. All right, so in my head, I was like, okay, how do they keep people on that story? So there's this mass media group who are telling a huge story. They're all telling the same story around the world. Whenever anybody says anything against that narrative, what do they use now to combat that in the mainstream media?
Disinformation.
Yeah, they call them fact checkers.
Yeah. Fact checkers. Yep.
Fact checking is the opposite of fact checking.
The arbiters of lies are the fact checkers.